Here's the problem. You're not as strong as you want to be, and progress isn't coming the way it used to. Doesn't matter if you're totaling 1,000 pounds or 1,000 kilos, if you haven't implemented what I'm going to talk about here already, this is going to be how we're going to get you going again. And no, I'm not just going to tell you to try harder or to send it more on your main lifts. That is not the solution. It's actually why a lot of lifters end up stuck. Because if we break down the effort and attention most lifters are putting into their training, it looks something like this, an inverted pyramid, with a ton of priority placed on the main lifts, which does make sense because that is what we want to improve, right? Well, it does work to a point. Tons of lifters do get better with programming that places the highest priority on their main work, but the issue here is, and the reason I chose the inverted pyramid as the visual, is that if all of your attention is focused on the competition lifts, eventually you're going to run out of base and that pyramid is going to topple over. Or at least you're going to hit a really freaking annoying plateau that seems absolutely endless. Think about it. If all of your training is the main lifts, based on your leverages, certain parts of that main lift are going to get touched more than others. Super long-limbed guys squatting, well, you're going to be pretty bent over and your back is going to be taking a ton of the work. Quads aren't going to matter much at the beginning because you can just let the back take over. And our nervous system, it's pretty damn smart. It knows what positions we're strong in. Under a heavy compound lift, your nervous system will put you in the positions where the strong stuff can do the most work possible and the not so strong stuff ends up avoided so it doesn't get exposed. Your back is going to get stronger and stronger the more you squat bent over, but eventually the gap between your back strength and your quad strength is going to get so big that it's going to be pretty damn hard to make your back strong enough to overcome the limitation in how hard your legs can push. And just doing more squats where you get more and more and more pushed towards your back isn't going to solve the quad problem. What is the solution? Well, this is going to sound completely ass backwards, but how I approach programming is giving the least amount of shits as I can about my competition squat, bench, and deadlift training. That doesn't mean that I don't train them. It just means that I train them the least amount necessary to be able to express maximal strength and display the skill that I need to on the platform. The main work isn't driving my progress, it's just there to make sure that everything else I'm doing is working. What's that everything else? Well, let's flip that pyramid upside down. Main work is still going to be at the top, but the top part of the pyramid ain't very big. The amount of effort, attention, and volume I'm spending on my main work is going to be a lot smaller compared to everything else, which is going to be the base that supports our peak. So what is that next level down from the main work? We're going to pick a big compound lift that we know will build into the main lift that you're training that day. For the long-limbed guy who squats with his back, we'd be looking for movements that force more quad into the equation. A heel elevated high bar as long as he can do it without turning it into a good morning. A hack squat or leg press with big knee flexion. Anything big that forces the quads to work, and we're going to push it hard. But that's not it. Next level down, we're going to pick 1 to 3 smaller accessory movements that are going to build into our secondaries. For Mr. Gets Bent Over in every single squat he does, it could be as easy as cranking the ever-living crap out of some leg extensions or running some split squats with the goal of getting into his quads. If he's running a high bar squat heavy as a secondary, we could even run a leg press pushed hard towards some slightly higher reps. And the last level of the pyramid is something that a lot of lifters will get wrong when trying to prioritize weak points. We don't want to forget about keeping what's already strong, strong. So to finish off this squat day, we'd want to touch some hips and back. That can mean something like a 45-degree extension or a reverse hyper. We could even go for something like a flexion row to get some erectors and lats cranking at the same time. Hell, if he has trouble with keeping the bar where it belongs when he does dump into a good morning, we might even want to run some face pulls or pull downs. 1 to 3 movements, depending on what the lifter needs, and we crank. Here's the cool thing. If we crank the crap out of our accessories that are going to build our secondaries, we're going to be able to lift more on the secondaries. And if we crank the crap out of our secondaries and make them stronger, as long as we pick the right movements for our needs, our main lifts are going to just go up without even having to try. Now, as far as how to do the stuff, well, how many sets and reps should I do is probably my least favorite question ever. Why? Because it is missing the point. The point is to do enough sets and reps per movement slot that you're making the slot as productive as possible. So what do we need to be doing? First, match the rep range to the goal of the slot and the exercise that you're doing. With secondaries, think about the movements we're running and think about the rep ranges that will allow us to put the most amount of tension where we want it. Because sure, you could do a 20 rep hack squat. It would be very hard, but you're probably going to be able to do a way better job of building quad strength in the 5 to 10 rep range. But on a leg extension, yes, you could work up to a 5 rep max, but you're probably going to fail because you're doing a 5 rep max leg extension, not because you maxed out your quads. Smaller movements will favor slightly higher rep ranges so we can get the most out of them as possible. Now, for set count, what we got to think about first is what are we doing with the rep ranges that we're training? And the answer to that is we are freaking cranking. That means that we need to approach true muscular failure, not cheating away from the desired muscle group when it gets hard, but digging into that tension. And if we're doing that, depending on the movement, we're only going to be able to make 1, maybe 2 sets truly productive. And as far as our intent goes, how I differentiate between secondaries and accessories is that on a secondary, I'm still acting like a powerlifter. That means my goal is to move as much weight as I can, as well as I can. On accessories, I'm treating them like a bodybuilder. And no, not that flu bodybuilder that's trying to just catch a pump and stop before it gets too hard. We are still pushing, but we're trying to bring as much precision to our contraction as we can. Because if we aren't touching what we want to touch with that accessory, we are wasting our time. And that's it. If you do that and make adjustments to your movement selection as necessary, you are going to make better progress than ever. And if you want programming that sets you up to do everything we just talked about and same-day individualized coaching to make sure that you're doing everything the way that you need to, hit link below and join the team. It is free for the first week, so come see how good it is.